My name is Darokwa. Thanks once again for making a date. Now, the Netherlands Embassy in Ghana has revealed plans by the Dutch government to invest in Ghana's entrepreneurial sector as part of efforts to help fight the menace of unemployment. This was made known at the 2017 edition of the Dutch Business Challenge, which saw tens of young Ghanaian entrepreneurs awarded for their achievements in the various fields of entrepreneurship. Here's more in this report.
The 2017 edition of the Dutch Business Challenge saw some young and promising entrepreneurs awarded for coming up with various business plans. Acting Dutch Ambassador to Ghana revealed that her outfit will be prioritizing entrepreneurship in Ghana.
We believe is that if you want to invest in Ghana, you also have to invest in young entrepreneurs. We are here to support the Ghanaian government in its efforts to have a more private sector centered approach. It fits really perfectly also with our own agenda. So we are speaking very often also to the various Ghanaian ministries. We're here to offer our expertise, but don't forget also we're here also to do business. And I think that gives a very healthy, dynamic aspect to our relations at the moment.
On behalf of the Trade Minister, Alan Tremantain, Chief Director of the Ministry of Trade, Baker Dawanoba, assured of government's resolve to prioritize entrepreneurship to help curtail the unemployment rate in the country.
One of the major reasons why we have unemployment is because we don't have many factories and we don't have the right skills as well. If you go around even the construction sites, you see that a lot of the labor we are using is coming from Togo. Why should the Togolese people lay tiles better than the Ghanaians? Yes, under the 10-point transformational agenda for the industrial development of this country, there are a number of programs that the government has laid out, and part of it includes getting the right skills, getting the right linkages between industry and academia, getting the right support to develop the industrial base of this country. So all that is part of the 10-point transformational agenda of the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
The winning team, Cargill, shared some thoughts with Joy Business on other practical ways to explore the Ghanaian market.
For the business case itself, I think it's a wonderful platform for every student to have.
So what do you bring on board to the Ghanaian market?
For me, I think if I say experience, somebody like experience just 10 days, but it has been a lot of experience. Plenary every now and then, coaching sessions now and then. So you get to understand that your timing is very, very important. For them, timing is key. Attitude is also key. Truth is key. There are some values that they cherish a lot, which is very, very important in international markets compared to the way we may just let things slide now and then. But for them, it's practical things, and we need to take those things into.
But it's resilience. They kept going. You know, they laid out their options, and out of the options they laid out, they picked out a solution that eventually won. You know, and of course, their team processes played a big role in their winning as well.
The Dutch Business Challenge is part of plans by the Netherlands Embassy to equip young graduates with the needed entrepreneurial skills to compete on the Ghanaian market.
Now, the Ministry of Trade and Industry says government will leverage science and technology as an integral part of accelerated industrial development. Sector Deputy Minister Robert Ahumkalin urges innovation among academia to complement government's effort to concretize such initiative. He told a stakeholder meeting of academia and industry in Kumasi, government would pursue policies to increase investment in science and technology.
It is then clear that the complexity of the current economic environment, coupled with the fierce competition we live in today of globalization and liberalization, means that the integration of science and technology in the operation of businesses is imperative. We live in a competitive world where science and technology and innovation are altering so quickly the pace of international trade and economic development that if we're not careful, we will simply be left behind. As advanced knowledge becomes an ever more important ingredient in the development of new products and services, and notice here, I've jumped straight to products and services. Sometimes when we think of technology, we think of our IT specialists. But I hope in the discussion I'm going to have today, we will realize that technology, to me as the layperson, means how to. how to do things in a more efficient manner that leads to greater results. The focus on academia-industry linkages has become more and more crucial. The issue, therefore, of academia linkages becomes critical for the agenda of higher education policy making at both national and institutional level. Madam Chair, academia has become the prime focus and source of ideas, particularly in the developed world, that are increasingly being translated into viable market opportunities. The shape of services provision, product manufacturing, and improvement in systems, processes, and procedures at the corporate world are defined in most of the most competitive economies by the integration of academia and science. The linkages and collaboration and partnership have increased the possibilities ever before to convert knowledge and innovative ideas generated through quality research activities of higher institutions into commercially business viable enterprises. It has been estimated that close to 75% of the patents registered in the United States have their origins in the universities. Clearly, the level of interaction with industries in various forms has become one very important measure of credibility of academic institutions and by de facto the success of their economies.
Now, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is implementing a program dubbed One District, One Export Product, geared towards identifying at least one product in each district with export potential. Deputy Chief Executive of the authority, Akilu Saibu, says the authority is also hoping that the program will help government in its implementation of the One District, One Factory policy. He was speaking at a stakeholders workshop at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region, aimed at seeking inputs into the initiative. Correspondent Abesori reports.
The One District, One Export Products initiative, according to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, will help them identify at least one commercially viable product with export potentials in every district across the country. It will also harness the potentials of Ghana's private sector. Akilu Saibu is Deputy Chief Executive of Ghana's Export Promotion Authority.
Now, we are going to set up district management committees to be chaired by the various MMDCs. And, after the identification of the product or potential exportable product, we move to the next phase, and that is the development of the product. And we have other partners who are ready, especially Exim Bank, to support Ghana Export Promotion Authority, to support the various district assemblies to identify the products. So the chief executive officers, district chief executive officers, who will be chairman of the district management committee for these exportable products, will also have supervisory role of whatever it is that will be taking place within the districts.
The workshop at Bolgatanga was aimed at seeking inputs into the initiative from relevant stakeholders in the Upper East region. Deputy Upper East Regional Minister Frank Fuseni Adongo said it will enable the region to contribute to the non-traditional export sector of Ghana's economy.
The MPP government, led by His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has the commitment to creating jobs and wealth for our citizens and to promote industrialization through the establishment of factories. This is given in the highest expression through the One District, One Factory flagship policy. I strongly think that our gathering today is the strongest indication of the great initiatives of a government with vision and determination to support the private sector to thrive. Mr. Chairman, MDCs, officers of Ghana Export Promotion Authority and Exim Bank, ladies and gentlemen, the Upper East region has contributed its quota to the non-traditional export sector earnings for Ghana through our popular Bolga baskets, among others.
Speaking to JoyNews, some district chief executives were optimistic that the One District, One Export Products initiative by Ghana Export Promotions Authority will help boost the economic fortunes of their districts.
Now, President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, has lauded efforts to develop the country's cocoa sector in the midst of challenges. In an interview with JoyNews in Accra, he emphasized the institution's further injection of financial support to the sector.
The volatility of the cocoa prices has a negative impact on their economies. They also realize that they need to have a greater countervailing power in the market to be able to at least influence the price of the cocoa that enters the global market, but at the same time make sure that a greater share of the benefits of cocoa that is processed globally stays in Africa and stays in their country. So it's a very, very major development. The African Development Bank, just look at our name. Our name is African Development Bank. So our role as African Development Bank is to support the industrialization of cocoa in Africa, to support the establishment of commodity exchange systems that allows Africa to keep a greater share of the benefits of cocoa in Africa, and also make sure that we address the issue of funds to allow the countries to stabilize the impact of the external shocks in commodity prices.
Meanwhile, Cocoa Board has secured Parliament's approval for the $1.3 billion loan to aid cocoa purchase for the next crop season. But how is the regulator planning to use the funds, and what would be the cost of this loan to the country? George Jaffe has more in this report.
To a report submitted by the Finance Committee to Parliament for approval last night, about 40 banks will be providing the funds for cocoa purchases for next crop season. The interest that will be paid on this facility every month is less than 1%. Now, this is lower than the 1.47% interest paid on the $1.8 billion raised last year. However, some have argued that the differences in the amount raised might have accounted for the decline in interest to be paid. According to the chief executive of Cocoa Board, it had to reduce the amount raised this year because of the declining price of cocoa on the international market. Majority of the funds raised to be used to purchase cocoa beans from farmers. From next month, some contributions will be made into the stabilization fund. Despite securing the approval, Cocoa Board has maintained that it still cannot increase the 427 Ghana cedi enjoyed by farmers for every 65 kilo bag of cocoa beans for next crop season. This is due to the current debt on its books and declining price of the bean on the international market. The country has lost almost $1 billion as a result of declining cocoa prices on the international market. Cocoa Board is hoping to sign the facility with the banks in Paris next month or in Accra. The expected inflows might go a long way to also help stabilize the Ghana cedi from the last quarter of this year.
Now, the PRO of the Association of LPG Marketing Companies, Bernard Donko, is lamenting the loss of jobs if the National Petroleum Authority should proceed with a policy to ban LPG vending stations from refilling gas cylinders. This directive, according to the NPA, is aimed at curbing accidents arising from gas explosions at these filling stations. But Bernard Donko says the policy will worsen the unemployment situation in the country and not necessarily prevent fire disasters.
We are fighting for our dear lives. I mean, there's this policy that, if implemented, will put all of us out of business. I mean, all of us. When I say all of us, are the tanker drivers, the LPG marketers, those who operate the LPG dispensing outlets. It will put all of us out of business. So the agitations you see going on, we are fighting for dear life. Because if our businesses are collapsed, we just can't, exist.
Okay. So give me details. What does this policy entail?
Well, you see, for over 30 years now, Ghanaians have been served. Ghanaians who use LPG have been served through the dispensing outlets, what you call the gas filling stations. And the government intended to expand the coverage of LPG users, and ensure that the delivery is done in a safe manner. Well, when we had it, we thought it was good news because that's the business we do. We serve Ghanaians with LPG gas. And in fact, we have been over the years trying to expand our coverage. So we thought, oh, if that is the idea, that is the object of the policy, then we are in good business because we are going to be the implementers of the policy. Then we come to realize that the policy is not going to be implemented through our operations, but rather there's going to be a separate business where gas bottling plants are set up and cylinders will be taken there to be filled, meaning that users of LPG will no longer patronize our outlets. And that is why we thought, listen, we were of the view that if the object of the policy was to ensure that majority of Ghanaians get to use LPG, we are the best people for the policy to be implemented through us because we are in operation. We've been serving Ghanaians for over 30 years. But to bring a new business to phase out our business, it is a serious matter. That is why we are fighting for our dear life. That is the reason for the agitations.
Okay, so you think portions of this policy are not fair to you. As much as they are not fair to you, there are aspects of it that may pose risk to the consuming public.
You see, it is the entire policy where it's not favorable to us. Because one, you are putting us out of business. Two, the policy seeks to do what we are doing. So why don't you help us do it?
So what do you want government to do is to support you, give you funding so that if you don't have that strength to do what government requires in that policy, you will be able to execute.
Exactly, my sister. My sister, we are in the operation of serving the Ghanaian populace with gas. If the whole idea of government is to expand the business, it should be through us. If the government thinks that probably we need to expand our coverage and it comes to us and we say, these are challenges, maybe funding and other things, we should be giving the needed funding and support from government to do what the government seeks to do.
Well, in other news, the National Petroleum Authority says its attention has been drawn to a purported statement emanating from the Gas Tanker Drivers Association and widely circulated in the media to the effect that 7,000 gas tankers will lose their jobs by September. According to the NPA, contrary to the claim that the cylinder recirculation model policy is set to be implemented beginning the 1st of September this year, the policy is in a draft stage yet to be finalized and submitted to Cabinet for approval before implementation. The downstream regulator says a ministerial subcommittee led by NPA is currently reviewing the policy and at the same time developing a draft implementation plan. It says the NPA has held 2 separate meetings with LPG oil marketing companies as well to collate their concerns, and these have been taken care of in the draft policy implementation plan. The NPA says further consultations will be held with the said companies and other stakeholders, including the gas tanker drivers, before the policy is finalized and implemented. It assures the policy will seek to maintain the existing jobs and will also create more jobs based on the category of licenses to be created in the implementation plan. We are turning now to the housing sector because the marketing director of Lakeside Estates, Lawrence D'Souza, is calling for a real estate fund which he believes will make mortgages attractive to Ghanaians by reducing the interest rates on them. JoyNews' Maxwell Agbagba has been speaking to some housing stakeholders on how a national real estate fund could help you own a home at a cheaper cost as Ghana's housing deficit keeps worsening by the day.
I'm currently here at Nima basically to find out what the housing situation is like here. Happening behind me right now are some kids who are back from school and enjoying a game of Ampe, but I'm here specifically to meet Emmanuel Johnny. Emmanuel is actually a pensioner. He's a 67-year-old pensioner. He used to work with the Ministry of Defense as a cobbler. Emmanuel is an opinion leader here in this community. He's going to tell us exactly what it was like in the past and what the housing situation is like now here at Nima. A compound of livestock busily feeding, scattered household items, amongst them a television set. Indications the family is in dire need of space as they continue to multiply. Over 15 people live here. Emmanuel Ajani, a pensioner, tells me the housing situation in Nima has worsened over the years and people continue to struggle for places.
It is difficult to get a room here at Nima. You would have to go through an agent before you get a room to rent. You can't do it on your own, so you would need their help. Some people take 3 to 4 years advance payment, and some even charge as much as 650 cedis per month. Some people complain, but they have no choice. In the olden days, it was very easy getting rooms here. About 5 people came here recently in search of accommodation. I told them it is not possible, so they left.
Oh, you say in Moson back I'm in touch. You go to be or be let you be. Oh, 5 number.
So what options are available for people like the 5 who have had to look elsewhere in the hunt for a place to lay their heads? I have met the marketing director for Lakeside Estates, Lawrence D'Souza, in his office on the 7th floor of the Silver Star Towers. He makes a strong case for mortgages.
You can rent somebody's house for 20 years. The house doesn't become yours. But with mortgage, you pay for 20 years and the house eventually becomes yours. So it is a good idea for our industry.
Why then are people not rushing for options like this? Mr. D'Souza tells me high interest rates and low salary levels are major repelling factors.
It's the interest on mortgage. You see, a lot of the mortgage companies and banks, they charge a minimum of 12 to 13% on the dollar. Then another major thing I realize is that salary levels in the country are generally very low. So by the time they add the interest and they do the assessment, a lot of people tend not to qualify for the mortgage. Hitherto, if you look at elsewhere, like the US, the Canadas, people pay as low as 3%, 2%.
In his opinion, Ghana needs a real estate fund to make mortgages attractive, as that could help reduce the interest rates for prospective home buyers.
Because speaking to a lot of the mortgage companies, they will tell you that the cost of borrowing, basically they borrow and they also lend on to the potential home buyer. So if the person is borrowing at 6%, the person will add his or her overheads and everything. You realize that there's no way the person is going to borrow to the potential home buyer anything less than 12%. So if we have a real estate fund where these banks could leverage on in order to borrow to homeowners, we can push the interest rates very low.
You're watching Business Live. You're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time to do our interview of the day, and chairman of the Select Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism, that's in Parliament, Marfo Nana Ameniampong, has revealed to Joy Business that the committee will present a recommendation to the Minister of Trade and Industry soon on the technical advisor for the implementation of the paperless POS system. Though a decision has not been taken yet, he's optimistic that the turf war between the two automation operators, GCNet and West Blue, will be resolved. He spoke to Joy Business after the company paid a courtesy call on GCNet at their premises.
Interview of the day.
That's why we as a Select Committee from Parliament, we are here with them today. I think we have close to 28 days more to take off. So all those issues, hopefully by 1st September, I would have met most of those agencies to to see what they can also do. Because if we want to wait for everybody to take off, we'll never get off. Don't forget, they've done pilot schemes before. 2012, they were in Takoradi. 2 years ago, that's 2014, they were at KIA, that's Kotoka International Airport. The challenges that they face is more or less directing them as to what to do to have very effective takeoff come 1st September.
So are we going to have only GCNet operating the single, the paperless transaction at the port?
No. I mean, if you understand the concept, they are going to be the nerve center around which issues are going to revolve. Almost everybody in the country, GRA, as far as clearance system is concerned, every organization which has got something to do with it are going to get involved. But they are going to sort of be in the center where all data which is involved are going to be routed through. So it's not like they are going to do it alone, no. It's like they are the nerve center. They are more or less going to deploy the systems through which all those data will be shared or passed through.
Are they going to be operating concurrently with West Blue Consort?
Yes, of course. They are going to share exactly what, these are technical issues. So by 1st September, would have got, because it came up here. When we came, West Blue came. They visited Parliament before. The same.
Interview of the day.
And thanks for watching our show tonight. My name is Daryl Kwao. We have got more business news for you on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We'll see you next week.